The playground was full of sound, laughter, and running feet. But she stood at the edge, silent and alone. The alien girl had large silver eyes that seemed too bright for her thin face. Her skin was pale with a soft glow, and her clothes were older than the others, torn in some places. She hugged her arms around herself as if trying to make her small body disappear. The other children ran in circles chasing a floating ball that bounced in the air. Their voices rose with joy, but not a single one looked in her direction. She had grown used to this. She had grown used to standing outside the circle of happiness. For years she had watched, never invited, never called. Every time she thought about stepping closer, the fear returned. The fear that someone would shout at her. The fear that someone would laugh. So she stayed back, near the wall, where the shadows covered her. Her mother used to tell her she was different, that her family's bloodline was not welcome among others. She never fully understood why, but she felt the truth in every glance, every whisper, every child who moved away when she came near. Today was no different, or so she thought. Among the noise and joy, one boy stood out. He was human. His skin was darker, his hair messy, and his eyes carried something she had not seen in others: curiosity. He held the ball for a moment, looked around, then suddenly his gaze fell on her. Her heart skipped. He had noticed her. She quickly turned her face away, pretending to look. At the ground, her body stiffened. She knew what would come next: the pointing finger, the cruel laugh, the words, "Why are you here?" But the laugh never came. Instead, footsteps approached slowly. She dared not look up. Her hands clenched tighter against her arms. Each step grew louder in her ears until they stopped right in front of her. "Hi," a soft voice said. Her eyes lifted before she could stop herself. The boy was standing there, holding the ball against his side. His smile was small but warm, not mocking, not sharp. She blinked, confused. He should have walked away by now. That's what everyone did. Why? Was he still here? "Do you want to play?" he asked. His voice was calm, not loud like the others, not demanding, just simple words, offered like a gift. Her chest tightened. No one had ever asked her that. For a moment she thought it was a trick. Maybe the others had sent him. Maybe when she said yes, they would all laugh. Her silver eyes flicked toward the playground. The other children were still busy. None of them were watching. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Her throat felt dry. Her whole body shook with doubt. The boy didn't move. He just waited. His eyes steady on hers, there was no impatience, no anger, only a quiet kind of hope. Something inside her stirred, something fragile but alive. For the first time in so long, she felt it. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't invisible. Her voice cracked. She swallowed hard. "I don't know how." The boy's smile grew a little. "I can show you," he said. He held the ball out, closer to her. The glow of the floating ball reflected in his eyes. Her hands trembled. Should she reach out? If she did, everything could change. Maybe it would end with laughter, maybe it would end with shame, but what if it didn't? What if this moment was different? Her fingers lifted slowly, almost against her will. The space between her and the ball felt endless. Her heart raced like it might break free from her chest. And then, a voice called from the distance. "Hey, hurry up!" Another child shouted at the boy. "We're waiting!" The spell broke. She froze, pulling her hand back. Shame burned in her chest. She had been foolish to believe, but the boy didn't leave. He didn't turn his back. Instead, he looked over his shoulder and called back, "You can wait." His voice was louder now, strong. Then he turned to her again, softer. "Don't worry, I'll stay." Her eyes widened. No one had ever chosen her over the others. No one had ever said, "I'll stay." She felt her lips tremble. The corners of her mouth moved slowly, awkwardly. And then, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds, her first small smile appeared. It was weak, almost uncertain, but it was real. The boy's smile answered hers, bright and sure. For him it was a simple thing, but for her it was the beginning of something she had never known. Hope. From that moment on, the lonely edge didn't feel so empty. The smile that touched her lips was small, weak, almost hidden. But it was the first smile she had shown in years, the human boy noticed, and his own smile grew wider, like he had just won something more valuable than the game itself. She lowered her gaze quickly, embarrassed. Her fingers twisted the edge of her sleeve. She had forgotten how to smile. It felt strange on her face, but warm inside her chest. "See?" the boy said softly. "It's not so hard." She shook her head. I don't belong there," she whispered. Her voice was barely louder than the wind. The boy tilted his head, curious. Why not? She opened her mouth but could not explain. How could she tell him about the stares, the whispers, the cold shoulders she faced every day? How could she say that she carried a shadow that others claimed was shame? The words tangled in her throat, so she stayed quiet. The boy didn't push. He just shrugged. "Then play here with me." He bounced the floating ball gently against his palm. His eyes sparkled as if the answer was simple. Her heart thudded. She dared to look at him again. His smile was not cruel, not sharp. It was patient, kind, waiting. Slowly, carefully, she lifted her hand. He placed the glowing ball into her palms. The ball was light, warmer than she expected. It floated slightly as if it wanted to rise. She gasped, surprised. Her silver eyes widened. The boy laughed, not at her, but with joy. "Cool, right? Just throw it back like this." He stepped back and tossed the ball lightly into the air, catching it with ease. Then he gestured for her to try, her chest filled with doubt. What if she failed? What if she dropped it? She imagined the laughter, the voices of other children mocking her. Her fingers tightened. She almost gave it back, but then she remembered his words. "I'll stay." She lifted the ball and pushed it forward awkwardly. The glowing sphere wobbled through the air, barely reaching him. Instead of laughing, the boy clapped his hands. "Yes, you did it." Her breath caught. Was he serious? He wasn't making fun of her? "Again," he said, gently tossing the ball back toward her. It floated slowly into her hands. She caught it clumsily. But she caught it. Something inside her chest broke free, a feeling she had locked away for years. She threw it again, this time stronger. The ball shot toward him, and he caught it with a wide grin. They kept going, back and forth, her movements stiff at first, then smoother. For every mistake, he cheered instead of mocking. For every success, he celebrated like it was the greatest thing in the world. Her lips curled again, this time higher, brighter. Her smile grew, and her laughter slipped out, soft at first, then louder. It shocked her. She hadn't heard her own laugh in so long. It felt like music. The boy's laughter joined hers, together mixing with the sound of the playground, but theirs was different. Theirs was real. For those few minutes, she forgot everything. The whispers, the stares, the lonely edge. It was just her, the boy, and the glowing ball between them. But not everyone was blind to this moment. From across the yard, two older alien children stopped their game. Their eyes narrowed as they watched her laughing. "Look," one whispered. "She's playing with him," the other sneered. "How disgusting, doesn't he know who she is?" Their voices were low but sharp, dripping with the same poison she had always felt. One of the alien elders, standing near the gate, noticed too. His eyes followed the girl, his expression hard. He muttered something under his breath. Words filled with old bitterness, but she didn't see them. For the first time in so long, she was free. "Catch," the boy called, tossing the ball higher than before. She reached, stumbled, and fell onto the ground with a small cry. He rushed forward at once, kneeling beside her. "Are you okay?" Her hands stung from the scrape, but she laughed, a sound, bright and unbroken. "I'm fine," she said, still smiling. He helped her up, brushing dust off her sleeve. His hand lingered for a second, steady and sure. She looked at him, her silver eyes soft. "Why are you so kind?" she whispered. He blinked as if the question surprised him. "Because everyone should smile," he answered simply. "And you have a good smile." Her heart raced. She had no words. Only warmth spread through her chest like sunlight, but in the distance the older children and the elder kept watching. Their whispers spread like smoke in the air. Unseen by her, a storm was already forming. The boy picked up the ball and tossed it again. She caught it, laughing, unaware of the dark eyes following her, unaware that this fragile happiness was about to be tested. For now she smiled, brighter than she ever had, and that smile would not be forgotten, not by him, not by her, not by those who envied it. The next day the playground was loud again, but something had changed. The alien girl stood at the edge as always, her heart pounding with old fear. Yet this time she remembered his words, "I'll stay." And she remembered his smile. For the first time she didn't feel invisible. Soon the human boy came running. His hair was messy from the wind, his grin bright. He held the glowing ball under his arm. When his eyes found her, he waved without hesitation. Her chest warmed, her lips curved upward shyly. She stepped closer than usual. Her feet no longer frozen to the ground, the two of them started tossing. The ball again. Her throws still clumsy, his catches still patient. Their laughter mixed, small at first, then stronger. For a moment, the world felt lighter. But the world was not blind. Near the benches, older alien children gathered. Their whispers grew sharp. "Look at her, she's laughing, she never laughs," one said. "With a human," another added, wrinkling his nose. "Doesn't he know what she is?" The whispers spread quickly, moving from one mouth to another like smoke carried by the wind. Soon even the parents nearby began to murmur. Their eyes narrowed, their heads shook. The girl felt the weight of those eyes, the stares she had known all her life. They were colder today, sharper. She lowered her gaze, her hands trembling. The ball slipped from her fingers. The boy caught it before it touched the ground. His eyes flicked around. He noticed the stares, the whispers, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he placed the ball gently back in her hands. "Don't listen," he whispered. "Just look at me." Her throat tightened. Her silver eyes rose to meet his. In that gaze, she found something steady, something unshaken, but the whispers did not stop. That night in the alien homes, voices rose louder. Parents spoke in hushed but angry tones. "He should stay away from her," they said. "It's dangerous. It's shameful." The elders gathered in quiet corners, their faces stern. "Her bloodline brings trouble. We should not let her forget it," one muttered. By morning, the entire colony seemed to know. The human boy and the alien girl had been seen together, laughing, playing, smiling. To some, it was strange curiosity. To others, it was an insult. The girl felt the shift the moment she walked outside. The air was heavier. Her neighbors' eyes burned into her. Some children turned their backs when she passed. Others whispered louder so she could hear. Her smile from yesterday weakened, fading back into the fear she had always known. When she reached the playground, she almost turned back. Her steps slowed. But then she saw him waiting, standing by the ball, his eyes searching until they found hers, his grin bright. "I was waiting for you," he said. Her chest tightened again and her weak smile returned. She stepped forward. Though her legs shook, they played. But it was not the same. Shadows hung in the air. The whispers grew bolder now. Some children refused to join their game, others walked away when he came near. She noticed, and her heart sank. "They don't like it," she whispered. The boy shrugged. "So what? I like it." His tone was firm. Unbothered, his eyes locked on hers, her lips trembled. Tears stung at the corners of her eyes. "Why don't you leave me?" she asked quietly. "It would be easier." The boy's answer came without pause. "Because then you'd be alone again." Her breath caught. She had no reply. Her throat felt thick with emotion. He laughed and tossed the ball higher. "Besides," he added, "I'm having fun." Her silver eyes widened, and for a moment she almost believed his words could shield her from the whole world. But in the distance, the elders watched. Their eyes narrowed. Their whispers grew colder. They had let her live quietly at the edge, but now she was stepping forward. Now she was smiling, and it was because of him. The human, one elder turned to another. "If this continues, it will break the order," he said. His tone was low but dangerous. The other nodded. Then we must remind her of her place. The boy laughed again. The girl smiled weakly back. Neither of them saw the storm gathering around them. Neither of them knew that soon their simple game would no longer be just a game. For the girl, every smile was a risk, and for the boy, every step closer to her was becoming a challenge to the world around them. The whispers of division had started, and whispers once begun are hard to silence. The festival came once a year, a day of music, lights, and games for the whole colony. Children wore bright ribbons, food stalls filled the air with sweet smells, and the central square shone with glowing lanterns. The alien girl stood at the edge as always, her hands pressed together. Her chest felt heavy. She never joined the festival before. Her mother used to warn her, "Stay quiet, stay unseen, it is safer that way." But this year something was different. The human boy had come too. His grin was wide, his eyes bright as he spotted her. "Come with me," he said, reaching for her hand. Her heart froze. Her silver eyes darted around. Everyone was watching, but his hand stayed there, open, waiting. Slowly, trembling, she placed her hand in his. He squeezed gently, pulling her forward. Gasps rose in the crowd. Whispers flew like sparks in the air. "Look at her," voices muttered. "She dares to walk in the open?" The boy ignored them, his head held high as if he did not hear. At the center of the square, games had begun. Children lined up for the ball challenge. It was simple. Throw the glowing ball through a ring high in the air. The crowd cheered for every success, laughed at every failure. The boy's eyes lit up. "Let's try," he said. The girl's stomach turned. Her hands went cold. "I can't," she whispered. "Of course you can," he said, smiling. "I'll show you." He pulled her toward the line. The other children stepped aside, some sneering, some glaring. When her turn came, silence spread. All eyes fixed on her. The elder who judged the game leaned forward. His sharp eyes glittered with something colder than amusement. "Very well," he said, his voice dripping with hidden cruelty. "Let us see if she is worthy of even a game." The girl's knees shook. Her hands trembled as the glowing ball was placed in them. The ring high above looked impossibly far. Her chest tightened. She wanted to run. From the crowd, cruel whispers rose. "She'll fail," someone hissed. "She'll embarrass herself," another said. The girl's heart pounded. Her silver eyes blurred with tears. She lifted the ball, but her arms felt too weak. Then she heard his voice, firm and steady beside her. "You can do this," the boy said. "Don't listen to them, just look at me." She turned. His eyes locked on hers. Calm and sure, she took a deep breath. Her arms steadied. She lifted the ball and threw. The glowing sphere arched clumsily through the air, swaying side to side. The crowd held its breath, then gasped. The ball brushed the ring, wobbling, and dropped just outside. Laughter erupted, harsh and cruel. "See? She is worthless," someone shouted. "She doesn't belong here." Her chest burned, shame crashed over her like a wave. She lowered her head, tears spilling down, but then the boy stepped forward. His voice rang clear above the laughter. "She almost made it," he said. "Closer than most of you." The laughter faltered. The elder's eyes narrowed. The boy picked up the ball, tossed it casually, and caught it with ease. "You think this game is about winning?" He called out. "It's about trying, and she tried when none of you believed in her." The crowd grew quiet. Some children shifted uncomfortably. The elder scowled. The boy handed the ball back to her. "Try again," he said softly. Her silver eyes widened. I can't." "Yes, you can," he whispered. "Forget them. It's just you and me." Her hands trembled, but she lifted the ball once more. This time, her chest held not only fear, but also a spark of courage. She threw, stronger than before. The ball soared, hit the ring's edge, and this time bounced through. The crowd gasped. Shock rippled through the square. The boy clapped loudly, his grin wide. "I told you!" he shouted. For the first time, she laughed in front of everyone, a laugh pure and free. Her silver eyes shone with tears, not of shame but of pride. But the elders' faces darkened, their whispers turned sharp. "This cannot continue," one muttered. "She is breaking the order." Another growled. The boy raised her hand high as if declaring her victory. The crowd was silent, unsure. Some children even clapped nervously. The girl's heart raced. She had done it. For once, she was not the shadow at the edge. For once, she stood in the light, but as the cheers faded, she felt the weight of darker eyes upon her. Watching, calculating, plotting. The cruel test was not about the game. It was about reminding her of her place. Yet instead of breaking her, it had lit a spark inside. And that spark would not easily die. The night after the festival was quiet, but inside the girl's heart the fire still burned. She had done it. She had thrown the ball through the ring. She had heard the cheers. She had laughed in front of everyone. For the first time, she had felt like she belonged, but not everyone shared her joy. Behind closed doors, whispers turned into sharp words. In the elders' chamber, stern faces gathered, their voices low and filled with anger. "The girl is dangerous," one muttered. "She has forgotten her place." Another elder leaned forward, his eyes cold. "It is the human boy. He gives her courage. He must be separated from her." The decision was not yet spoken aloud, but the threat had already begun to grow. The next morning, the girl walked to the playground with light steps, her heart still replaying the moment she had succeeded. She hoped maybe today would be different. Maybe some children would look at her without hate. When she arrived, the human boy was already there, his grin wide. "You were amazing yesterday," he said. Her cheeks warmed. She lowered her gaze shyly. "Only because of you," she whispered. He shook his head. "No, because of you." His tone was firm, proud. They laughed together, tossing the ball again. But the air was different now, heavy. Something invisible pressed down on them. It didn't take long for the shadows to appear. 3 older alien boys walked toward them, their eyes sharp, their steps slow. The other children scattered quickly, leaving the square empty. The girl froze, fear gripping her chest. She knew them. They were always cruel, always mocking. Today their faces carried more than simple teasing. Today they carried warning. The tallest one sneered. "So this is what you waste your time on, human? Playing with her?" The boy stood tall, his jaw tight. "So what if I do?" Laughter came, bitter and harsh. "Don't you know who she is?" Another boy said. "Her family is cursed, her blood is shame, she is nothing." The girl's eyes filled with tears, her hands shook. She wanted to run, but the boy stepped forward, standing between her and them. His eyes burned with anger. "She is not nothing," he said, his voice steady. "She is my friend." The words rang in the air, bold and clear. The older boy's sneers faltered for a second, then hardened again. "Careful, human," the tallest one said, his tone low. "If you stand with her, you stand against us." The boy didn't flinch. "Then I stand against you." The girl gasped. "No," she whispered, pulling at his arm. "Please don't, they'll hurt you." But he shook his head. "I don't care, no one gets to tell me who I can be friends with." The older boys stepped closer, the threat clear in their eyes, but before they could act, an elder's voice cut through the air. "Enough." The children froze. The elder stood at the edge of the square, his gaze sharp as a blade. He looked at the human boy, then at the girl. "You are causing trouble," he said coldly. "This ends now." The girl's heart sank. She knew what he meant. They would try to separate them. They would drag her back into the shadows. The boy stepped forward, his chin high. "I haven't done anything wrong," he said. "Neither has she." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Your words are bold, human, but boldness has a price." Fear filled the girl's chest. She gripped the boy's sleeve, whispering, "Please, just stop." Her silver eyes pleaded. She couldn't lose the only person who saw her, but the boy placed his hand gently over hers. "No," he whispered back. "I won't stop. Not for them." The elder's voice dropped lower, more dangerous. "Then you will regret it." The threat hung in the air like a blade, sharp and heavy. The other children whispered from a distance, their eyes wide, some with fear, some with cruel excitement. The girl felt torn apart inside. Her smile from yesterday felt like a fragile glass. Already cracking, she wanted to protect him, but he was protecting her. The elder turned sharply, his cloak swaying as he walked away. The three older boys followed, but not before one leaned close and muttered, "Next time, he won't be here. To save you." The girl's body trembled, her heart pounded painfully. The human boy stood firm, his jaw tight. "Let them talk," he said, his voice softer now. "They don't decide who you are, you do." She looked at him with wide silver eyes. "But they'll hurt you, they'll hurt us both." He gave a small smile, tired but steady. "Then let them try." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She had spent her life avoiding notice, hiding in shadows, but now everything was different. Because of him, she could smile. But because of him, the danger had grown. The threat was no longer hidden. It was real, it was near, and it would not stop. The days after the threat felt heavier than ever. The alien girl no longer walked with light steps. Her shoulders stayed. Hunched, her eyes darted around. Fear followed her like a shadow. She knew the elders were watching, waiting, yet every morning the human boy still came, his grin stubborn, his eyes unshaken. "Come on," he would say, tossing the glowing ball. "Don't let them win." Sometimes she wanted to hide, but his courage pulled her forward, and each time she laughed with him, even for a moment, she felt alive again. But whispers continued to spread, louder than before. Why does he stay with her? People muttered, "He doesn't know the truth." The girl knew they were right. He didn't know. She had never told him. She had hidden it deep inside, the reason everyone hated her, the reason she had lived in the shadows. One afternoon they sat together near the old fountain, away from the others. The ball rested between them. The boy looked at her with curious eyes. "Why do they hate you so much?" he asked quietly. Her chest tightened. She lowered her gaze. Her fingers dug into her sleeves. "You wouldn't understand," she whispered. "Try me," he said. His voice was gentle, not pushing, just waiting. She shook her head. "It's better if you don't know." He frowned. "Better for who? Them? Or you?" Her silver eyes filled with tears. She wanted to stay silent, but his steady gaze broke down her walls. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "My family. We were once part of the council long ago, before I was born. But my father was accused of betrayal. They said he caused a war. They said he brought shame. When he died, they turned their anger on us, on me." The boy blinked. His face showed no disgust, only shock. "So, they hate you because of something your father did?" She nodded slowly. "They call us cursed. They say our blood is stained. No one wants to be near me because they think my shame will touch them too." Her voice broke. "That's why I never smile. That's why I stay at the edge. It's safer to be invisible." The boy sat in silence for a moment, his hands clenched into fists. Then he spoke, his voice fierce. "That's stupid. You're not your father. You didn't do anything wrong." She gasped. Her silver eyes widened. No one had ever said those words to her before. He leaned closer, his tone softer now. "You're not cursed. You're just you. And that's enough." Her throat ached. Her chest felt like it was breaking apart. "But everyone says—" "I don't care what they say," he interrupted. "I decide who my friends are, and I chose you." Her tears spilled, but her lips curved into a trembling smile, a smile mixed with pain and relief. For the first time, someone had looked past her family's shame, past her bloodline, and seen her, just her. The ball floated gently between them, glowing in the dim light. He picked it up and tossed it into her hands. "Here," he said. "Play with me. Forget them." She laughed through her tears, catching it clumsily. The sound was shaky, but it was real, unseen by them. An elder stood at a distance, his eyes narrowed. He had heard enough. The girl's secret was no longer hidden. If the human boy knew, he would spread it. And if he spread it, the fragile order could break. That evening, the elders gathered again, their voices filled with tension. The human knows now, one said bitterly. If we don't act, others may begin to question. If he defends her, the young may follow. Another growled. Then we must silence this bond before it grows stronger. Meanwhile, the girl sat at her window, looking out at the stars. Her chest was lighter than it had ever been. She had told him the truth, and he had stayed. He had not turned away. Her smile lingered, fragile but alive. The boy lay awake too, staring at the ceiling, his fists clenched, anger burning inside him. How could they punish her for something she never did? How could they let her suffer for years? He swore silently that he would never leave her side, no matter the cost, but neither of them knew how far the elders were willing to go. The truth was out now, and the truth was dangerous. The secret had been revealed, and with it, a storm was about to break. The morning of the gathering arrived. The whole colony filled the central square, banners hanging, drums beating, and voices buzzing in the air. It was a day meant for unity, but tension lay heavy like a storm cloud. The alien girl stood at the edge again, as she always had. Her chest tightened. She remembered the threat, the stares, the cruel words. Her hands shook as she pulled her old cloak tighter. But today was different. Today the human boy was beside her, his step steady, his grin unshaken. He looked at her and whispered, "Don't hide, walk with me." Her silver eyes widened. "They'll all see," she whispered back. "Good," he said. "They need to." Before she could protest, he took her hand. His grip was warm, firm, guiding. He pulled her gently into the open, right into the heart of the square. Gasps spread like fire through the crowd. Heads turned. Whispers rose sharp and bitter. "How dare she?" Someone hissed. "With him?" Another spat. The elders stood near the front, their eyes dark as stone. One raised his hand and the drum stopped. Silence fell heavy. The elder's voice rang across the square. "This ends now," he said coldly. "The girl of cursed blood will not defy us further, and the human will not drag us into shame." The girl's knees shook. She tried to pull her hand free, but the boy held tighter. He stepped forward, his voice clear and bold. "She is not cursed," he said. "She is not shame. She is my friend, and she deserves to smile." The crowd gasped. Children stared wide-eyed. Some parents muttered angrily. Others fell silent, unsure. The elder's face twisted with rage. "You dare speak against us, human?" The boy nodded, unafraid. "I do, because you're wrong." The elder lifted his staff, ready to silence him. The girl's chest tightened. Fear gripped her. She whispered desperately, "Please don't. They'll hurt you." But the boy only squeezed her hand and said softly, "Then let them try." Before the elder could act, a small sound broke the silence. Clapping, one child standing in the crowd clapped nervously, his eyes wide but his smile real. Another child joined, then another, their voices timid at first, then louder. "She's not cursed," one called. "She played with us yesterday, she laughed." "She made the ring," another added. "She's like us." The girl froze, her silver eyes widening. The crowd rippled with uncertainty. Some parents pulled their children back, but others hesitated, watching their little ones cheer. The elder's hand trembled with anger. "Silence them," he barked, but it was too late. The children had stepped forward, forming a small circle around the girl and the boy. Their laughter rose like light against the heavy silence. Their smiles reflected hers. The boy raised her hand higher, his voice strong. "She belongs here, just like anyone else." The girl's chest burst with emotion. Her lips trembled, her eyes filled with tears. And then she laughed, loud, free, unbroken. The sound filled the square like a song no one had heard in years. Her smile shone brighter than the lanterns, brighter than the banners. And for once, no one could deny it. The elder's face twisted, but even he felt the shift. The whispers of division could not drown the sound of children laughing together. The threat of fear could not erase the power of one simple smile. The girl turned to the boy, her voice soft but clear. "You gave me this," she whispered. You gave me a reason to smile." His grin widened, his eyes warm. "And I'll keep giving you reasons," he said. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of joy. She squeezed his hand tightly, no longer afraid. For the first time in her life, she stood not at the lonely edge but in the center, not hidden but seen, not cursed but cherished. Her journey from shadows to light had begun with a single word, a single kindness, and now her smile had become a light that touched others too. The storm was not gone. The elders still frowned. Danger still lingered in the dark corners of the colony. But the girl knew something she had never known before. She was not alone. She would never be alone again because one human boy had decided to see her, to stand with her, to protect her, and because of that, she finally had a reason to smile.